In anticipation of National Veterans Small Business Week, Lisa suggested that we do something special. Together, we created the Veterans Helping Veterans Business Anthology Group. It's been a great success. We networked, collaborated, conducted interviews, and wrote a book. During this journey, Lisa and I had the pleasure of meeting numerous entrepreneurs and business leaders with backgrounds in the military veteran and military spouse community. We carefully selected 20 contributors at various stages of their business endeavors, from ideation to well-established enterprises. We engaged in insightful conversations, the highlights of which are shared in our new book, We Are Stronger Together, Strength and Diversity. In addition to these interviews and our contributors' lessons learned, inside the book, Lisa and I also provided practical information and tons of resources to help others in their entrepreneurial pursuits. Remember to grab your copy of the book on Amazon to meet all the contributors, authors Lisa DeShorm and myself. Are you ready to get a glimpse of what it takes to be a veteran business owner? Take a listen. Welcome to Talk to Me. I'm your host, Brenda Warren, the Soulutionist. Today, I am joined by Marine Corps veteran Jim Wong. Jim has something he's going to share with us today that's going to probably pique most of your interest. Why? Because he is a serial entrepreneur and oops, he did it again. He joined forces with another person to create Worldwide Structures LLC. And I would say create, but I believe he joined on to this business. He's going to clarify anything that I missaid. The point is, Jim is someone to reckon with because even at his age, he is constantly doing something new and exciting. Jim, welcome to the show. How are you today, sir?
Thank you. Never too old to pay it forward, never too early to pay it forward.
That's true.
Absolutely.
Tell us about Worldwide Structures and why you wanted to join that organization.
I live here in Northern California, and there have been two fires that really got my attention. First was the Paradise Fire, and that's like 150 miles north of here, due north of, I live in the San Francisco Bay Area, Brenda. And I remember having to put my mask on because the smoke was so bad that it filtered down. And I'm going to show you a picture of another fire. So when fires get so big that they, the embers can fly freely. So sometimes it starts here and it hops to another city, another city. So this was a gigafire in the winter of 2020, and it followed a drought. There wasn't much rainfall. So north of here, there's a lot of forest and things got pretty dry. And so a gigafire, people they can't imagine when I tell them it's a gigafire, meaning it consumed 1 million acres of land and everything in it, of course. The Paradise Fire was a small one, not even near a gigafire. And within the first 4 hours, it consumed 19,000 homes and businesses. First 4 hours, because things that are built out of wood or wood products, it's going to go up like a tinderbox. Yeah. The bigger fire, which happened 2 years later, we were already saying, we got to redesign the homes maybe a little bit different, allow them to be a little more resilient. We can design that. I mean, we've got the technology, we've got the brain power. It's a matter of, okay, is the community ready to accept this? And a gigafire, just imagine the entire state of Rhode Island, which is under 1 million miles. The whole state goes poof in the first 4 hours. That's pretty dramatic.
That is dramatic. So when you guys decided to do something about it, creating these homes, what did that entail for you?
Yeah, great question. It's in the materials. If we don't use wood or a common or traditional way of building homes, there are a lot of materials. So our technology is a dual clad aluminum. with foam sprayed in the middle. And so it doesn't burn. The other advantage is in the military, we live in a lot of concrete buildings, bunkers, we've been in those where there's been black mold and things like that. And more than once I've reported on base and said, I'm sorry, your housing isn't ready. Here's a chit to go to the motel until we fix this. Well, I'm sorry, you can't fix black mold. Once it's there, it's there. So billions of dollars. And so Rick Novak, the founder and CEO of Worldwide Structures, and I met, we were both appointees by the governor to the Disabled Veteran Business Enterprise Advisory Council in California. And so I looked across the table and I thought, this guy looks about my age. I'm coming on 77, Brenda. And he laughed. And when I asked him, so when did you join the Corps? And he said, I think you're going to find out I'm not from your era. He said, 1954. And so I said, oh my gosh, I was just a youngster then. I came to this country when I was 9 in 1956. So I was a real young kid. And he said, oh no, that's not when I joined the military. I joined the Navy first for 4 years, and then I got picked up for flight school. Ended up going to naval flight school and chose the Marine option. So he's a retired Marine aviator. Well, this guy had and a partner developed this technology that not only is it fire safe, earthquake resilient, also we can teach a high school kid how to do it. It takes less time, and it's been through fire tests. What they do is they get some ashes, pour kerosene on top of it, and set it ablaze right next to the wall. All it does, it'll scorch that area. But aluminum is one of the best heat transfer materials. So the heat just gets spread out very quickly.
So you have a product that is really going to be good for the areas like California and other places that are prone to fires. But let's switch gears, because now we know what you're doing. We need to talk about, as this is about the Veterans Helping Veterans Business Anthology, and we're focusing on the businesses themselves. What have been the challenges for you guys to get this business off the ground?
Well, sometimes the technology by itself doesn't sell. So when we got together, it was around the Paradise Fire time, and all the other members are veterans. And we said, let's coin a phrase, veterans saving paradise. So Rick wrote a letter to Mayor Steve Crowder in Paradise. And this is where the heroes come in, right? Steve took office 2 days after the fire started. I mean, he could have just walked away and said, no more city, because it went poof, gone. He had the courage to say, nope, I'm taking the helm, and he got reelected. So that just shows you the kind of people we're dealing with. The thing that is challenging is that the technology makes us build in a certain way. We can't have huge windows. So who buys most homes in America? Women. My mother said yes, and my dad said, okay, now that you're satisfied, we're going to own our first home in America. Sometimes I think us men just say, nah, this home is so affordable over a lifetime, because we literally only use about 10% of the utilities. And as Rick jokingly tells people, and it's true, we can heat it with a candle and cool it with an ice cube. It's so well insulated. So Brenda, if I were to say to you, well, the walls have R45 rating, well, I say that to most people and they say, what does that mean? until we say things like, okay, it means it's so well insulated, your utility costs are only going to be a fraction compared to the house you live in now. And here's the scary thing. In California, State Farm already pulled out, said, we're not issuing any new property insurance because in the Paradise Fire that happened in the winter of 2018, in January 2019, facing $30 billion in potential damages, they filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection. So now you add another problem in. If you rebuild it, say in Paradise or up north where the big fire happened, the Giga fire, who's going to insure it? Who are you going to find?
So your project then has a potential for creating homes that could actually be insured and be good for the community as well, based on the materials that you're using. So how have you guys parlayed that to deal with the construction industry that may not be as on board with this new change, even though it seems like it could be a money and lifesaver?
Yeah, great question. We get that more and more often. But guess what? We're interviewing a homeowner up in Paradise, and that's tomorrow at 11 o'clock at his house down here where I am, because he owns a house down here as well. And he said, I am not going to build another wooden house. I saw what happened to my property in Paradise. So he said, if a builder says, oh yeah, we'll do another wooden house, he's going to say, no way. So I have interviewed now 2 companies that say, yeah, we're going to use another material.
Now, this material that you're talking about, is it readily available, or is it something that will create another industry on its own once it becomes more popular?
Aluminum. It's very, very cheap and available. And so it's basically, if you can imagine putting a house together like a Lego block, that's what it is. So that's why we don't need someone. We can train the homeowner if he or she is willing to help. We can lower the cost. In 3 or 4 days, we can train a person how to build or rebuild their own house. That's the tougher challenge, going into a community that's been devastated by a wildfire or an earthquake, and saying, okay, let's get all the townspeople, because before you leave, because there are no jobs left in this city or in this community, why don't we teach you a new skill? And you can rebuild this entire city together. This is why the book that you and Lisa are writing is so appropriate, because it is people trying to build their own strength together, veterans supporting each other. We know that we can recruit a lot of veterans. In fact, there are a lot of veterans. This state has 8% of the nation's veterans, but guess what? We got 29% of the nation's homeless veterans. Let's gather them all up and say, come on, guys, you've done this before. Let's build our own community. But nobody moves in until we get the last house built. They're going to say yes.
I consider this is a passion project for you, Jim. And as a serial entrepreneur, how has this project differed from other businesses that you may have started or joined on?
This really is one for the soul. So I can't even say that it's not going to be as big as a data center that we're building, another group of veterans, because right now there are 170,000 unsheltered just in the state of California. And the state legislature has already approved a bill to approve financing to build these homes. So I think people are just scared that, oh, is this technology so far advanced? No, it's been tested. In fact, the last community that Rick and his team built was in 1972. We built 115 homes in 3 months. 1972, it's a long time ago. So this technology has been proven, and those homes are still there. They haven't had to be repainted yet. So wow, facts don't lie.
Hmm. All right, Jim, we're going to move on and ask you 6 questions that are going to help the viewers get to know you as a business owner. It said, what is a time that you learned something from your failure as a business person?
Well, I think that my failures have been more instructional. It's like going in combat. Well, the time you get surprised, you go back and do the debrief, and you say, well, we did this wrong. They got on top of us. They had the draw on us. We were in the lower part. We were in a valley. They were up on top of that. So not all of my businesses have failed. I'm only batting about 500. But every time that we've had a success, and we've had 2 multi-billion-dollar companies that seemed the easiest. Why? Because everybody was on board. They were passionate. They were doing it for the soul. Money comes later. I mean, if you do what's right, you don't have to worry about the money, especially if you're coming in after a wildfire or an earthquake. FEMA has tons of money. Right now, the Environmental Protection Agency just issued, a couple months ago at the beginning of summer, a $27 billion notice of funding opportunity. The RFP, the request for proposal, it's going to come out this summer. So why are they doing this? Because they're trying to reduce greenhouse gas. A lot of our construction technology, that's what it's designed to do. Those are peripheral benefits. Main thing is, I remember how proud my parents were. We were immigrants, bought their own house. We were all in it saying, wow, this is ours. That was the biggest investment my parents made in their lifetime. For most people, the house is the most important investment and the biggest. So we got to restore the pride. And in this country, as you can see, wealth disparity is growing. So the need for affordable housing, the need for resilient housing, not only to save the world from global warming, but to give people back their pride. That's why we're doing it. You got to do it for the soul. If money comes, it's not that we're going to do it at a loss. We can make money, but if we can catch fire with this, literally make sure the communities know that this is a way you can maintain your property insurance. Because we have a woman who's been with State Farm for 20 years, and she said, oh yeah, State Farm, Farmers Insurance, Allstate, they've basically all moved away from California, because I understand it. It's all economics.
Absolutely, economics. Here's your next question. What is something you've always wanted to learn?
To be a better transformational entrepreneur. I left the Marine Corps in 1979, and after going to school, this is the school I went to, MIT, I got hired by General Motors. Well, General Motors had a turnaround, so I was the turnaround manager. We were a small electronics division. We had 27,000 employees. So General Motors, that's small. And as part of trying to help get the money to restart the jobs, because we laid off 7,000 workers the week that I joined the company, I went to the governor's office and said, unemployment is at the highest level. So can you change some of your community development and economic development policy. So, well, apparently I did a good job, because the next day he said, guess what? You're a General Motors executive on loan to me. And so, surprise, surprise, that's how I spent all my weekends when I was at General Motors. But what it taught me was, you got to engage the community. That's why I want to be a transformational entrepreneur. To be a serial entrepreneur that makes things happen, yeah, it's one thing. But to transform an entire community, yeah, I didn't have to pay for a meal for years afterwards, because I got all the laid off workers back to work. At the same time, we convinced Honda to build its first factory near the state capitol. $4 billion in investments, 4,200 new jobs. So people, I'd go into a restaurant and they'd say, oh, no, your money's no good here, Jim. You brought my mom back to work. You brought my son back to work from layoff. So that's a good feeling. You can't, money doesn't give you that kind of feeling.
Money will not do that. What are people most surprised to find out about you?
I'm 5'6", 145 pounds. So I'm that small. When Brenda, I got into the Marine Corps. I mean, you're a Marine Corps retiree, so you know, people are looking at the big guys and saying, yeah, right on. So in high school, I was my picture's not in the yearbook, because my buddy said, yeah, Jim Wong, the guy most likely to steal your car.
Oh,
I thought,
goodness.
man, I wasn't college material, but I joined the Marine Corps, went to Vietnam, served during the Tet Offensive, 1968, where most of our deaths occurred during that 19-and-a-half-year war. And so I found out a lot about myself. People found out a lot about me. I am more determined than anybody. I graduated as the honor man. It's like, I think I've got what it takes. And, the school behind me, they wouldn't have even looked at me. But after the Marine Corps, they said, wow, you filled the lieutenant colonel's billet. You're 30 years old. Hell yeah.
Okay. What is one thing life is teaching you right now?
To be humble.
That's a good lesson. Jim, tell me, with all the things that you've done and that you are currently doing with Worldwide Structures, how is all of this helping you live your best life now?
Well, as you know, I'm due for heart surgery. And there ain't no such thing as minor surgery when you deal with the heart.
Absolutely.
So I got to get patched up, because I want to live to do more things like what I'm doing now, because it is for the soul. I think, because I had the GI Bill, actually enrolled in a doctoral program to be a clinical psychologist. And I met this guy, Viktor Frankl, who was a Holocaust survivor. He was older in years. He was a psychiatrist, and he wrote a book, Man's Search for Meaning. And we all had to read it. It was required reading. And one thing that he said in that book that just stays with me today, he said, it's a peculiarity of man that he can live only by looking to the future. And that is his salvation. I want to be on this side of the grass as long as I can, Brenda. I got a lot more things I want to do. That's the inspiration I have.
That is amazing. Jim, how can people get in touch with you to find out about Worldwide Structures? Is there a website or something I can put at the bottom of the screen to support you guys?
That it's under construction.
Okay.
We had a website, but we show it to women. They say it ain't gonna work. It doesn't appeal to the heart. So
I got you.
So I'll send it to you.
Okay, that'd be great. Jim, I want to thank you for being part of the Helping Veterans business anthology. I look forward to learning more about your project. And any of you that's watched this today, you want to learn more about Jim and what he's done, you can see more about him in the book. Jim, do you have any final thoughts for our audience?
Access to capital is a major challenge for us veterans and military family-owned businesses. And I serve on the board of a nonprofit bank called the CDFI, Community Development Financial Institution. There are over 1,000 in this country. So if you live near a big city, there is one. Go to them, because this is a non-recourse loan. You'll read it in the book that Brenda and Lisa are putting together. The other thing is, I went to business school because I had the GI Bill, but a lot of people can't afford the time. You know, if you got 3 kids you're trying to raise and you leave the military, you don't have time to go to an MBA program for 2 years. And so what we're teaming and what we're finding out is there's a nonprofit called the Rosie Network. Good friend of mine, Stephanie Brown. She offers a service to CEO free training. I got lots of free training that you can have. So whether you have the GI Bill or not, if you want a shortcut, I'm considered smart lazy, man. If there's an easier way, I'm going to show it to you. And feel free to call me at night and on weekends. I'm dedicated to helping our fellow veterans and military families survive in this tough environment. So I hope to see all of you. And Brenda, I can't thank you enough. You are the true solutionist.
Thank you for that, Jim. Well, I'd like to thank you for watching this version of Talk to Me, and there's going to be more coming. Remember, the choices you make today will be the reality you live tomorrow. So choose wisely and be blessed.